I'm James Rule. Welcome to the Lonely Leader podcast, where we help existing and aspiring leaders find clarity, build resilience, drive performance, and enhance fulfillment. We are approaching the 5th anniversary of the Lonely Leader. Time really has flown by, and as I'm reflecting on the last 5 years, I felt a need to share some of the lessons and some of the insights that I've gleaned with the clients I've worked with. Now, you've probably heard me say before that I take a huge amount of pride, pleasure, and fulfillment from being able to coach, train, and mentor a diverse range of clients in roles and sectors all around the world. There's a reciprocity to what I do. It's not just about what I'm delivering, because the beauty of working with people closely, often in a one-to-one capacity, is you get a real insight into how they're operating. You see best practice, you get wonderful insights and new ideas, but you also see areas that perhaps aren't working quite as well. You get insights into strategies, ideas, ways of working, of communicating, of developing teams, whatever it may be, that haven't quite worked either. And this all funnels back into what I like to call my knowledge library. That's my own personal experiences. It's the things I've learned from the books I've read, the courses I've done. But the really powerful addition to that knowledge library over the last 5 years has been the lessons I've been able to learn from the people that I'm working with. And that's why I get so much fulfillment. I'm helping people, they're helping me. And with those new insights and that level of wisdom, I'm able to bring that to my clients in the coaching, training, and mentoring. Now, I might not be working with you directly in that face-to-face capacity, but the whole raison d'etre for the Lonely Leader podcast is to share some of that wisdom and to be able to help you at a time and place that suits you. So the focus of this episode is to draw out 5 lessons, if you will, from the last 5 years, and ask you, as ever, to reflect on them and think about applying them to your day-to-day personal and professional lives. So lesson number 1, perception is not reality. Most of us are guilty at some stage of being a victim of comparison. Now, as we've all heard the phrase, comparison is the thief of joy. It's very easy to look and build a perception on how other people are operating. Look at how well they're doing. Look at how organized, efficient, and high performing they are at work. Look at their personal life. Everything seems to click. They've got a wonderful marriage, beautiful children, kids are doing well in school. They're engaged in passions. They're going on the holidays. And I think social media has really accelerated this curse of comparison, for want of a better turn of phrase. And what I can say to you with absolute sincerity is your perception does not match the reality. There is not an individual I've worked with at any organization that can, hand on heart, say they've got every facet of their life optimized. And I have the privilege of working very closely with people. And you might see one area, how they're doing professionally, but they're fighting chaos and real adversity in other areas of their personal life. Equally, you may think they're in free fall because of areas that you're seeing at work, but they have absolute rock solid relationships, health and fitness, friendships, family dynamics outside of work. But when you feel that you are underperforming and you must be doing something wrong, please take strength from the fact that each and every one of us is a work in progress. And as you get things aligned at work, you may have some challenges at home. As you get things aligned at home, you may have some challenges at work. As you focus on your physical health, you may find that some of your relationships struggle. As you lean into developing your friendships and your extended family dynamic relationships, your physical health may suffer again. It's completely natural. So take it from me that the highest performers still wrestle with trying to get that level of work-life integration and that level of fulfillment that comes from being a high performer in every facet of life. Nobody's got it all figured out. The difference and the key takeaway is the highest performers accept that and are very, very consciously aware of focusing on all those core areas of their lives and constantly switching their attention and their focus to enhance areas that they're underperforming. They're very, very disciplined about conducting reviews periodically, weekly, monthly, and saying, okay, this area is going well, this area is not going so well. What do I need to do? What is within my control? How am I going to improve it? They then attack and review again. They do not sit back and go, well, this isn't great. I'll just accept it. That's just the way it is. Lesson number 2, be comfortable being uncomfortable. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the concept of a comfort zone. We've all heard about that. Have to be willing to get out of our comfort zone. I actually think that's a little bit redundant now. I think a more appropriate phrase is the familiarity zone. So it's not that people are comfortable. It'd be nice if that was the case, that every facet of your life is going well and you're totally comfortable and therefore you do not want to get out of your comfort zone. What I have found over the last 5 years is that people have areas of their life that are truly uncomfortable. They're not happy with them. It might be work, it might be health, it might be relationships, it might be dynamics with children or extended family, whatever it may be. There is areas that are uncomfortable, but they're familiar. And it's the fear of change and confronting that discomfort and going into unfamiliar territory that holds people in limbo, in that status quo. So I think a more appropriate turn of phrase is not be willing to get out of your comfort zone, it's be willing to get out of your familiarity zone. And as I've already alluded to, the major barrier to doing that is fear. Now, again, debunking some myths out there, high performers do not operate with an absence of fear. I'd love to say they did. They've got this magic bravery pill and they just don't feel any fear. That's not the case. Everybody, without exception, feels fear. The difference with the highest performers is they have become comfortable being uncomfortable. They have found ways to manage that fear and not let it hold them back, keeping them on the sidelines, getting locked in procrastination. They move forward into their fear, confront it, and come out the other side. And invariably, having taken that bold step, they are rewarded with the success that often resides on the other side of our fears. They are rewarded with being bold enough to step out of their familiarity zone and say, actually, now that I've done it, the unfamiliar wasn't so bad. I've gone through that discomfort and I've been rewarded for it. So that enhances their confidence. It enhances and empowers their mindset, and it makes them more resilient. So being able to step out of your familiarity zone, move through your fears is a trait of high performers, and I encourage you to do that. And that moves me nicely on to lesson number 3. Resilience is not innate. I alluded in the previous point that those individuals that have found a way to move through their fears, deal with any adversity, and reap the rewards as a consequence, they look back and get an enhanced sense of resilience. They endured it, they were rewarded for enduring it, and that helps enhance their resilience for the future. Now, I used to get sick and tired of this constant notion of resilience is innate. You've either got it or you haven't. You're born with it or you weren't born with it. It's a complete and utter myth. Resilience, like so many other things in life, can be enhanced if we work at it. And I'm so passionate about this point that we built the Creating Unshakable Resilience program, which has become one of the most popular programs in the Lonely Leader portfolio. We work with individuals and groups in the public and private sector all over the world delivering this program, because I believe there are a series of building blocks that when you put them into play, enhance everybody's resilience. And you need resilience. If you are going to go back to that familiarity zone and have the courage to move through your fears and find those rewards as a consequence, you need a level of resilience. And the highest performers recognize that those key building blocks need a constant level of attention to keep enhancing and maintaining that level of resilience, so they are not trapped in their familiarity zone, they are not imprisoned by their fears, and they can keep achieving their goals and manifesting their dreams in both their professional roles and personal lives. Lesson number 4, personal accountability. This is a difficult concept to embrace, but I have seen time and time again the highest performers in sport, in business, in politics, in the military, accept the necessity of personal accountability. Now, there's no judgment here, but it's very easy in life to say, I'm not where I want to be because of this individual or that individual or this scenario or bad luck. And that puts us in a very inactive, restricted position where we are dependent on external forces to move us to the destination and to achieve our dreams and goals. When we flip that on its head and take personal accountability for where we are, for the good and the bad and everything that has taken place to bring us to this point, all decisions, everything is our responsibility. Now, I hear and I can feel, and I always get a sense of people bristling at that and saying, no, that can't be the case. But it has to be the case. Because on the former, on a mindset of we are at the control of external individuals and factors, then we are not in control of where we go next. On the latter, if we say we take responsibility and accountability for everything that's brought us to this point, that means we have the control about where we go next. We have an ability to make decisions, to take action, and that is what will shape our direction of travel and where we end up. So as uncomfortable as it may be to try and take responsibility for where we are, and I appreciate there are extreme things that can happen in people's lives that will debunk this theory. But in the main, with the highest performers I have worked with, and that is what this episode is all about, what lessons have I derived? I have been inspired by their ability to say, I'm not where I want to be, but I take responsibility. I'm accountable for where I am, and therefore I am also responsible and accountable for where I go next. And it really helps them focus on what is within my control. What can I do next? Where do I want to get to? How am I going to get there? And it puts them in a really proactive mindset, an empowered mindset, and they start taking action. And 9 times out of 10, they manifest and reach that destination that they are striving to achieve. So I appreciate that one out of everything I'm talking about may be a little bit uncomfortable, but I have seen the benefits of that mindset. And that is why I wanted to share it as a lesson of the last 5 years. Lesson number 5, gratitude. Gratitude is something I talk about a lot on the podcast. It's certainly something that weaves through a whole raft of my work in my coaching, mentoring, and training, because it is a physical impossibility to feel anger, stress, overwhelm, and gratitude at the same time. You have to feel one or the other. And so for me, gratitude is the perfect antidote to those emotions that compromise our performance. When we get locked in a fearful state, when we're full of anxiety or we're angry, we lose control, we lose a sense of where we are and what we're doing, and it compromises us. Now, the challenge is to remain aware of all the things we have to be grateful for, both in our personal lives and our professional roles, our health, our relationships, our friendships, our independence. There are so many things all around us, but it's easy to lose sight of that and become so myopically focused on the stone in your shoe, the one area of your life that's causing you stress in a relationship or at work. And that's all our thoughts are dominated by. And that puts us in a very negative loop. And again, this is about stepping back and sharing lessons that I have seen serve people and help them achieve the highest level of performance. And those high performers are unified by an ability to find joy and to celebrate the small wins and to be constantly looking and recognizing things that they are grateful for. So there's 5 lessons. The last 5 years have gone by in a whirlwind. And I hope that as you reflect on what we've talked about, there'll be areas where you think, yep, I probably could bring a bit more gratitude to my role. I probably do need to step back and not be so obsessed with comparison because my perception might not be the reality. Perhaps you're thinking now, am I in a familiarity zone? What are the areas that cause me discomfort? Why am I not making changes? Is it fear? Do I need to be better at managing that fear? Which will bring you onto resilience. And perhaps you'll want to explore the Create an Unshakable Resilience program. But do you believe that resilience is just what you're born with, or do you believe that you can change it, you can work through it? And personal accountability. Are you taking control and ownership of where you are and where you're going next? Or are you still resentful, bitter, focused on external influences, people and situations that have brought you to this point? So it's moved around a little bit. I hope it's been of use, and I look forward to continuing to share more lessons from my experience operating within the Lonely Leader. Thanks for listening to the Lonely Leader podcast. I'd be very grateful if you could share and follow if the content resonates. And if you're looking for additional free resource to support your continued growth and development, then please do check out our social media and website details in the show notes. Remember, quality leadership on the outside must always start within.